Good evening and welcome to Real Sports, where we begin tonight with a story that blends the interests of both sports and politics. With Pennsylvania's Democratic primary just a week away, the campaigns of that party's two remaining contenders are in high gear, befitting a bitterly contested race that has lasted longer than anyone expected and has cost close to $250 million. Senators Hillary Rodham Clinton and Barack Obama are these days finding their every word analyzed and their every move scrutinized. In the case of Obama, even his attempt at bowling created something of a firestorm. When Senator Barack Obama rolled a number of gutter balls en route to a score of 37 a few weeks back, his sporting prowess, or the lack of it, quickly became fodder for columnists and pundits alike.
Good God, he bowls like a ninny.
Whether Obama's athletic skills ultimately mattered to voters is something else again. Over the past half-century, those who have sought the Oval Office have tried their hand at a variety of sports. JFK loved playing touch football. Richard Nixon was an avid, if awkward, bowler. Gerald Ford's wayward golf shots were infamous. And whereas Bush 41 had ties to baseball, his son seems to love his bike. The true sporting passions of would-be President Obama, however, are of a different sort. And so, a month ago, long before his bowling bugaboo, we tracked him down on the campaign trail to watch him play his game and hear him talk about it. You've called basketball your first love. Why? What's it do for you? Why is it important to you?
Well, you know, I can't imagine more fun than having a good pickup basketball game when everything's going right and, you know, people are passing the ball and you're actually hitting some shots. I watch a good basketball game or I play in a good basketball game. Makes me feel good.
To understand Barack Obama's basketball Jones, one must travel back to his boyhood in Hawaii. Born there to a Kansan mother and a Kenyan father, Obama grew up without his dad, who moved back to Africa when Barack was just 2. On his lone visit back to Hawaii, 8 years later, Barack Sr. gave his 10-year-old son a basketball. It was a gift that would stick by the side of a biracial teenager who, as Obama later described in his autobiography, was engaged in a fitful interior struggle, learning how to be a black man in America. So I guess the question becomes, and I'm not trying to put you on a couch here, was it basketball you took to right away, or was it a chance to identify racially, or was it a chance to bond with your father in some fashion? What was the driving force?
I would suspect all of the above. And the fact that growing up in Hawaii without a father, with not a large African-American population, here was a place where being black was not a disadvantage. Here was a sport in which we were dominant. All those things, I think, contributed to the idea that there's something special about this.
Yeah, is that why you talked of it being a refuge?
Yeah, and look, the fact of the matter is that as a fan, back in the mid and late 70s, there were a lot of cool basketball players. You know, you had Dr. J and Walt Frazier. And
Jay was on your wall.
Absolutely. You know, that poster with where he's got the arm out and he's flying through the air. Big afro. Classic.
Young Barry, as he was known back then, immersed himself in the sport, honing his game on the Honolulu playgrounds around his home and near his local school, Punahou, where he was one of only a handful of black students.
He would carry his basketball around in one hand and his books in the other, and he'd be dribbling all day. He would play basketball before school. He would play at lunchtime. He'd be first one at practice, last one to leave.
Chris McLaughlin was the varsity basketball coach at Punahou in 1979, Obama's senior year, and his lone season on the varsity, a year the school won the Hawaii State Championship.
I guess the best way to describe Barry's game would be a little bit street-like. You know, he likes to create, great one-on-one, nice little jump shot from 15 to 18 feet from the corner, I remember. Also, I remember him being a zone buster. When, you know, we had problems with zones, we knew that we could call on him to do some good shooting from the outside.
You were called Barry Obama.
Yes.
Back then. What was your range?
You know, I don't think my strength was my jump shot. My actual talent was my first step.
Layup, good by Obama.
I could get to the rim on anybody.
You were seventh man, eighth man? What?
Yeah, I would say about seventh or eighth man. Partly because the coach and I did have a difference in philosophy. His philosophy resulted in us winning the championship, but it didn't result in me always getting as much playing time as I thought I should have.
Which you were very vocal about, I understand.
I was. But, you know, this is part of the fact that I was growing up without a father to mentor me and advise me. I had very much grown up as a playground player who was trying to fit in to a team structure.
Traveling is called on Obama.
So there was some conflict there.
After Punahou, Obama left Hawaii for college and a new life on the mainland, during which time he says he completely lost touch with his first love. He wouldn't reclaim his hoops roots until some years later, in law school at Harvard, where he began what would become an almost religious devotion to pick-up basketball. It was a good thing, too, for it was around that time that Obama began courting a young lawyer named Michelle Robinson, who wanted her new man to take a special Robinson family test.
She had heard my father and I popping off about how you can tell a guy's personality on the court. She said, you know, I think I like this guy. Would you take him and play basketball and see what kind of guy he was?
Craig Robinson, a former basketball star at Princeton, was Michelle Robinson's brother and would become Barack Obama's brother-in-law.
I'm being asked to pass judgment, and all I could think of was that he was going to come out throwing elbows and being a selfish jerk, and I'd have to report back, and that's the end of it.
Did he know why he was out there?
No, see, that would have messed the experiment up if he knew. He had no idea. He just my sister's like, you know, he fashions himself a basketball player. Would you take him out and see what he can do?
How did he behave out there? What did he show you?
He was quietly confident. He could play. He knew the game, so he wasn't selfish. He passed the ball when he should, and so I had good news to report back.
I think apparently I passed to Craig often enough that he concluded I was a good guy.
Do you believe you can tell a man's character from watching him on a basketball court?